And yeah, quick reminder. There's a couple buzzwords that still Google penalizes you for: pandemic, COVID,
Yeah,
coronavirus, quarantine.
yeah, yeah,
We don't need to mention that stuff. If it comes up, I mean, all you have to do is say, given the year we've had, and everybody knows exactly what you're talking about. So,
yeah.
yeah, they're just still very sensitive. I thought that would kind of relax at this point, but it has not. It
Yeah,
has
no
not.
problem.
Yeah, so it's all good. Okay, good to go. Any questions?
Nope.
All right, great. Okay, guys, Jay Martin here, CEO of Cambridge House, and I'm joined right now by Louis Zapata, the executive chairman of Silver X. Louis, how are you?
Good, Jay. How are you? Thank you for having me.
It's really good to see you again. Yeah, I'm glad to have you back on, and I'm excited to dive back into the Silver X story, which, in my opinion, is one of the most exciting junior silver stories in the market. We'll get into why. Where I wanted to start with you, though, is from your seat. What are you seeing in the precious metals market right now? And I ask because the leading conversation that we're having on my channel right now is inflation driving future commodity prices. And so, what are you seeing right now in the precious metals market, Louis, that's catching your attention?
Sure. I mean, given the years we've had and the massive printing of fiat currencies by governments all across the world, there's definitely inflationary pressures across the board, not just in commodities, but in consumables as well, right? Specifically in precious metals, I think there's really a disconnect between the spot market and futures market. I mean, if you go out right now and try to buy a kilo bar of silver, a kilo bar of gold, I think you would be hard pressed to find it in stock. Having said that, it's gold at 1,700 today when we're recording this, silver at 26 bucks. I think it's a good price for commodities and should make a lot of the projects that we're working on, viable, right? Not just us, but the industry as a whole.
I'm with you. Yeah, and for context, we're recording this on June 18th, about a week in advance of publishing. A lot can change in the price these days. So, I mean, you're focused on Latin America, and there's a lot of eyeballs right now on the election in Peru and what kind of consequences that may or may not have for projects based in that country. Do you have any thoughts on that, Lewis?
Sure. Well, I mean, look, number one, the whole Silver X team is in Peru, right? From Paul to myself, our CEO, everyone's here except our CFO. So we're very cognizant of the Peruvian political situation. What I would tell you is this: I mean, as of today, we don't have a president. It's going to the courts. Who knows what could happen there? There's a lot of different scenarios. Anyone that tells you who's going to be the president July 28th when we install the new president is lying to you at this moment because nobody knows. What I will say is this: the leading left-wing candidate, Pedro Castillo, he only controls 45 out of 130 seats in Congress. And Peru, while we do have a president, we have a Congress, which is the only legislative body. So for him to pass through any radical agenda, I think would be quite difficult. So in that regard, I'm pretty comfortable that Peru, at least 5 years from now, will be in the same place we are today. And that's probably not good for the country as a whole, but for mining, I mean, it's going to be business as usual, right? I mean, keep in mind that in Peru, over the past 12 months, we've had 4 presidents. And then in Peru, Congress can kick out a president basically for any reason by a simple 2/3 majority. So instability in the political sphere, continuing a business as usual in the mining sphere, I think is probably what I would say is going to happen.
Yeah, that's great context. 4 presidents in the last 12 months. It's hard to wrap
Yes,
my mind around as a Canadian, American, whatever.
yeah, it's
But thank
unfortunate.
you for that perspective, because yeah, it's making a lot of headlines and we're getting a lot of questions. But it's nice to sort of temper the enthusiasm of those conversations with, well, look, Congress is a legislative body, right? Um,
Yes.
and that's where the decisions land. Okay, so moving
And
on, I
just one
want, of
briefly, Jay, just one more thing, if I may, sorry to interrupt you.
course.
In 2006, we had a candidate called Ollanta who became president, who had a very similar left-wing discourse. When he got into power, he moderated totally. Where by the end of his term, he was basically seen as a right-wing candidate. And now, even with Castillo, his whole technical team, they've been, university professors, sort of, liberal economic theory behind them. So I think we'll be okay. I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Yeah. All right. I love it. I love it. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. Now let's get into Silver X, because I had you on the show. It must have been January of 2021. And the reason Oro X at that point, caught my eye, and now you guys have renamed to Silver X. was all driven by the people that you've assembled, Lewis. Now, anybody who watches my channel knows I'm a people-driven investor, and I can't stress that enough. When you're looking at the junior metals market, the resource sector, you're betting on whether or not these individuals are going to be able to get the puck in the net, right? Like, do they know how to win? You know, and everybody from the CEO you've got in place, Jose Garcia, and his background with so many of the world's largest mining companies, through to your advisory board, led by Paul Matisek. I mean, these are some legendary names, Daryl Carty, names that have been on my show and people are familiar with. Collectively, your team over the last 13 years has generated, correct me if I'm wrong, over $3.2 billion in shareholder value through company exits. And that's what caught my eye. And so let's dive into the portfolio a little bit. Your team's in Peru. Talk to me about the portfolio in Peru.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're obviously called Silver X because it's sort of Paul's brand. He got Lithium X taken out. Recently, Gold X was taken out by Gran Colombia, and a great success for Paul's team again. And, Silver X is our silver producer, right? So I think what differentiates us is that we're one of the few silver junior producers in the market now, right? We have two assets, as you know. Coriorco is the asset that Oro X brought to the table with the public vehicle. It's a high-grade gold exploration asset. It gives us a blue sky. We're quite keen to drill it, hopefully, next 12 months. But the reason we are at Silver X now is because we acquired Latitude Silver, which is, my partner's Jose's company. Latitude Silver has a producing silver lead zinc district in Peru. They bought it from Buenaventura in 2017, put it back into production. It's currently in production. We're drilling 30,000 meters this year to both increase the resource and both in size and category. And as well, we've locked up an entire district, right? They started with 5,000 hectares. Now there's over 16,000 hectares of, what we think is Peru's premier silver lead zinc belt. And we're very excited to get our hands on this and to really, be able to develop the project over the next couple of years.
And so, safe to say, Recupereta is the focus that we could expect to hear news about as shareholders, correct?
Correct, yes. So in Recupereta,
yeah.
Yeah, of course. We call it now Nueva Recuperada because that means new in Spanish. We have a new vision of the district. When Buenaventura left it, they sort of saw it as a polymetallic district, which it is, of course, but they didn't really squeeze the grapes as much as they could, right? We see potential to basically increase the resource, to find new zones. There's 90 known productive veins within our land package, which most of which haven't been touched. There's mines there that were mined in the 70s and 80s by Buenaventura, which were pulling out 10 ounces plus of silver that still have undeveloped mining blocks that we could access. So, we're very excited about that. Again, we know we're one of the few silver producers in the market, and to have our hands in this asset has been really great in the context of the market.
Okay, so we can expect you to expand that resource. Talk to me about what are we looking at right now? What do we know?
Right now, we have 7.3 million tons, which if you equivalent it into silver equivalent, it's about 70 million silver equivalent ounces, 70. The 30,000 meter drill program is basically what we want to accomplish with that is to change the resource category from inferred, it's currently all inferred, into measured and indicated, and also to expand the resource, right? We think there's areas of high grade silver that haven't been touched that we want to drill into. We think there's better polymetallic areas that haven't been touched we want to drill into. So we're very excited about the future of the company over the next 12 months.
And you guys have identified 3 targets at present to begin, is that right?
Correct. We have Tangana, San Antonio, where we're currently mining, and Maria Luz, which is a high grade silver district. All 3 are being explored right now. Not just via drilling, but obviously sampling, geomag, et cetera, IP. So yeah, lots going on in the district. We have a team of, I think, 15 geologists on the ground. We have 2 rigs on the ground as we speak. And again, being in production, that cash flow allows us to do things that perhaps other companies couldn't do, given that they're just financing through share issuances.
Okay. So then down the road, we can look forward to Coriorco. This is the gold project. So yeah. And I believe, what did you tell me about? You're looking about 12 months until drilling?
No, we're drilling now. We've actually, as of today, we've drilled, I think, 3,000 to 4,000 meters. We have 2 rigs on site. So we're very excited about that. We're also developing the new Tangana mine. Right now, we're mining San Antonio. Tangana is basically double the grade of San Antonio, so we're very keen to get that cash flow going on. We'll have news about that over the next few months. So yeah, it's a fully operational company, silver company in Peru. We're quite keen to be out to the market now. Finally, we were in the box for a long time waiting for the TSX to approve our transaction, but now we're done.
Now you're done. Okay, well, congrats. Now, I would imagine, given your cash flow, given your company's history, that you're always looking at new deals. And we could speculate there's going to be some M&A in the future. Now, I know you can only share what you can share, but Louis, what can you share about that vision in the future?
Yeah, for sure. Look, we took over the vehicle, the shell that became OroX in June of 2020. Time goes by so fast. We did 3 deals in 14 months, each bigger than the next, culminating with the Latitude acquisition to form SilverX. We've always said in our presentations and talking to investors that Peru is the world's second biggest primary silver producer. Why has nobody built the first majestic in Peru? That's really our mission. We say it boldly in our presentation, and we plan to execute on that. There's a lot of sort of mid-tier mining opportunities that are available in Peru that people that aren't here full-time maybe can't see, and we're hoping to pick up a few of those as soon as we can, basically.
Right. And so establish some first mover. Why has there been a lack of activity? Why hasn't that company been established yet? What are your thoughts?
Well, look, I think Peru has always been elephant ground for majors, right? I mean, they come here looking for big porphyries, big gold deposits. While Peru it's a silver producer, most of it's byproduct, right? Like silver lead zinc mines.
Sure.
There are actually a few what we would call primary silver mines available in the market. They're all owned by Peruvian groups. But again, being here, being Peruvian myself, living in Lima, being in the mining circles, 24/7, you see these assets come up, right? And I think that's sort of a strategic advantage that we have, and one that we hope to develop for shareholder value.
Okay. And I know that you're focused on Peru, but you position yourself as a Latin American company. So are you looking outside the country as well?
Yeah, I think we would look anywhere that makes sense, right? I mean, we don't want to stretch ourselves too thin. We definitely feel that with the next 12 months, we have to prove ourselves operationally in Nueva Recuperada. I think our incoming CEO, Jose Garcia, is going to do a great job of both running the mine and increasing the resource. But as far as myself and Paul, we're looking for deals all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Louis, look, it's been great having you back on and getting an update. I know you guys are busy. So once again, yeah, this is, when I heard about the team you would assemble, when I took a look behind the curtain at your executive team, your advisory board, I didn't wait for a financing. I built my position on the open market, and I'm happy to share why. So thank you for coming back on. Thanks for your time and getting back in front of my audience.
Thank you. Appreciate your time, Jay, always.
All right. Okay.